Let's talk about vulnerability. Today I went on a hike with a few friends of mine. We went out to a beautiful forest for a long walk. We were together for about 4 hours. And one of the things that was really beautiful was the level of vulnerability and authenticity that came out of the conversation. Now, for many of you that don't know me personally, around 18 months ago, I started having therapy. I recognized that there was some unhealed kind of emotional childhood stuff. And I'm a life coach by trade. I have a life coach training company. And one of the things that I've found to be one of the most incongruent things about coaches, it's definitely been me, by the way, and I still have this, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm on the metaphorical guru stool with the big beard and I've resolved this. I'm fixed. In fact, none of us need fixing and none of us are inherently broken. Just put that in a disclaimer. But there were things about me where I was wearing a mask. There was incongruences. There was things where I was talking the talk but not walking the walk. And subsequently started having therapy. From there, I joined a men's group, which was really, really powerful for me because the men's group created a space for me to just talk. Psychotherapy, as it's kind of professionally known, is really just the form of really talking. There's one of the things I've learned about talking is the authenticity that comes with talking. The first few sessions that I attended this men's group, I was probably a little bit tight and a little bit thinking what I was going to say. 18 months later, I must have been on, good 150 hours of talking with men for the past year and a half. Which leads me to today's video around vulnerability, where we got to the forest and literally within 5 minutes of being with each other, we were talking about financial issues, health issues. I was talking about my skin. I was talking about some business challenges. We were speaking about all kinds of stuff, right? I can't remember the intricacies and I don't want to go into the details of what other people spoke about, privacy reasons. But one of my friends asked me, he said, because I said one of the things that's come up for me since being more vulnerable and being more open is it's enabled me to cry more. Because as a kid, I didn't cry. And one of the reasons is because I modeled my mum. And my mum, God bless her, she was not, she kind of withheld her emotions. She didn't like to show me. She wanted to protect me. That was her way of protecting me. And as a result, I modeled that, right? So I didn't show emotion. So right into my teenage years, my early 20s, I was really angry. I get really emotionally triggered easily. And just the other day, I got emotionally triggered by someone who posted something on Facebook and it kind of triggered me. The difference is now I'm more aware of the triggers and I can speak about it and articulate it. It doesn't have the same hold over me that it used to. But my point is that the vulnerability that came out of our hike today was really, really powerful. And one of my friends said, what is it that you find is the most profound thing you found about opening up and talking about what's really going on? And I said, well, it makes me feel more accepting of myself. I said, I feel the real point of vulnerability is to, when we open up, when we speak out what we're feeling, it goes from maybe feelings of guilt, because I know the things that I often keep locked inside of me are maybe perhaps things I feel guilty about, things I've maybe had some shame around. And when I'm when I'm vulnerable, when I open up, what I find is when we're vulnerable, when we're open, it's like it frees us from the guilt, it frees us from the shame, and it's like if you imagine guilt or shame or whatever you're worried about, if you imagine that is like an entity inside your body, I believe that when we speak about it, it's literally like we're opening our mouths and we're like releasing this entity out into the atmosphere. So one of my coaches used to ask me the question, he'd say, "Why, Miles, what don't you want most people to know about you?" And I think that is a really, really powerful question, which can help you if you're watching this video and maybe you're not in your heart, if you know you're not being as vulnerable as you could be, then maybe start by asking yourself the question, what don't you want people to know about you? Most people to know about you. Because I found that when you answer that question, that when you truly, truly answer that question, you'll find that if you allow yourself to say what the answer to that is, like if you really, really, really answer that question, you'll find a sense of freedom. Because I believe a lot of what guilt and shame really is an inability to accept parts of ourselves that we've made wrong. So an example is that I don't usually share is I don't want most people to know about me. I found it really, really, really difficult to really stay in unconditional love towards my mum. Like over the years, I've found that really difficult, and I'm going through a period of it right now. But I recognize that all it fundamentally is a part of me that I'd made wrong, and a part of me that is still not fully healed. And by saying that out loud, takes away the power of the guilt and the shame around that and makes me feel really empowered. Because I now have come to realize that I found from my experience, nothing bad has ever come from being vulnerable. Like I'm yet to have an experience where vulnerability has come back to bite me. Like it's never happened. I've had my relationship with my wife has been better. My relationship with myself has been better. I found I've attracted clients who maybe said, "Hey, I saw your video about X and that really resonated with me, and I wonder if we could have a conversation about that." So, especially if you're watching this and you are in business, like maybe you're a coach, maybe you're in my coaching world, or whatever you do, like I truly believe that the more vulnerable you are, just the easier life is. Like I had a call this morning about a problem, about a challenge that I need to resolve. And even though the challenge isn't resolved, it's a business thing, even though the challenge isn't resolved, just by having the call with somebody who has a potential solution for that, it was like I felt empowered. Because there's something really powerful about facing our guilt, facing our shame. Something really powerful about facing it. Like I made a call to somebody the other day who I've had some conflict with to tell them how I felt. And unfortunately, they didn't answer. But I left them a voicemail. And I left them a really nice voicemail just saying, this is how I felt, this is how I feel. Like not like judgy or anything, just this is how I felt. And I instantly felt like better. Like, not as good as I would have felt if we'd actually got to speak. The person's not responded yet, but I felt better because I'd released it. And I've recognised that I believe that most of us, if we have feelings inside of us, it's probably perhaps because there's things that are trapped that need to come out. And until you let them out, you may find that you have it negatively impact your relationship with other people that are close to you, to yourself. And so vulnerability really is, like I think Brené Brown said, called vulnerability a superpower. And I really believe that. Really believe that. You know, this video is not... Is it perfect? No. Is it? But it's just me being me. And in the world that we live in today, that's what people want. People want real, they want authentic, they want vulnerable. And I think at the end of the day, sometimes it is our inability to be open that keeps us separate. And as human beings, we're not meant to be separate. We're meant to be together and connected and close and loving one another. And in actual fact, it's often our old stories that we turn into something that we then create into an identity. And we use it as a way of keeping us disassociated from people because we feel unsafe. And there's a lot to be said for finding a tribe of people that you can be emotionally open and vulnerable with, because that emotional safety is a really important part. And so, highly recommend. Feel free to send me a private message if you want to share something with me, but feel free to make a point of finding a tribe, finding a group of people that you don't just talk about like one thing, but like you can have that conversation like I did with my friends on a hike today, which is like really, really checking in and going deep on everything. And I could share some recommendations on this, like key things are: don't give opinions unless they're asked for. Don't give advice. Just listen. Because that's definitely what the last thing a person needs when you're being open and vulnerable is you giving them their advice unless they ask for it. But it's powerful. Vulnerability is really powerful. So be more open, be more vulnerable about what's going on for you. And I think you'll find life just gets easier. Hope you've enjoyed this one. I have enjoyed recording it. Let me know your thoughts. Feel free to always enjoy comments. Always love to know what you think of these types of videos. Less about the video, more just about having a dialogue and a conversation. What does this mean? What does vulnerability mean to you? Where are you maybe not fully being vulnerable and expressing your true self? I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, that's it from me. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.